Alright guys, today we're going to be going over graphing linear equations. So in the last two videos we saw how to find slope and how to find slope between two different points. Today we're going to be able to take a graph, turn it into a equation, and take an equation, turn it into a graph. So the first thing we need to remember is our slope-intercept formula, y equals mx plus b, where m is your slope and b is your y-intercept. Now, when you have a graph and you're turning it into an equation, the first thing you can always write down is your y equals x, and then the positive, not, because sometimes it could be positive or negative, but we'll leave it like that for now. X and y are never going to change. Your job is to find your slope and your y-intercept. Now, the easiest part for me is always the y-intercept. Where does it touch my y-axis? So if I go down, I find my point right over here. 1, 2, 3. Now, because it's above the line, it's positive 3. So we already have half of our problem done. Now, the next thing I want to look at is our slope. I want to know, how do I get from one point to the next? Now, in graphs, I like to use my rise over run. If I'm reading my graph from left to right, how do I get from one point to the next? So I already have this as one of my points. Another point I know for sure is right over here, my x-intercept. So I'm going to look, how many do I have to go up or down, left and right, to get to my next point? So I'm going to start here. I have to go up 1, 2, 3. So I'm going up 3. 1, 2 over 2. And there you go. That's our equation. Y equals 3 over 2x plus 3. And if you want to double check, all right, well, our y-intercept is at positive 3, 1, 2, 3, yes. And to get from one point to the next, we have to go up 3, 1, 2, 3 over 1, 2. There we go. All right, we've got another example here. Now, in this case, we're going from an equation to a graph. So same thing. I know this is my y-intercept, and this is my slope. Now, I need to be careful with this negative. Now, I'm going to start by going my y-intercept. My y-intercept is positive 1. So I know positive 1 is where it touches my y. This is my y-axis. This is up 1. Now, from this point to the next, I'm going to be using my slope. Now, my slope in this case is negative 2 over 3. Now, this negative can belong to either number. So I can do negative 2 over 3 or 2 over negative 3. It's the same exact thing, but you cannot give the negative to both numbers. This is the same thing. Choose either one you want. It'll get you the same line. Different points, but the same line. So I'm going to use negative 2 over 3. I'm going to go down 2, right 3. Down 1, 2, to the right 1, 2, 3. Now, if I were to use 2 over negative 3, this would be up 2, left 3. Now let's see where that gets us. Up 1, 2, left 1, 2, 3. So if I were to draw a straight line through, it would get me to the same exact point. It doesn't matter who you give the negative to, as long as you give it to one or the other. We connect our dots, and we have our graph. All right, we've got one more. All right, so here we have a graph we're going to create an equation for. So I already know, remember your y equals mx plus b. I'm looking for my slope and my y-intercept. So first I'm going to start with my y-intercept. My y-intercept looks to be right about here. That's at positive 1. Now, how do I get from this point to the next? Well, let's look and see. Our next point looks to be about right over here. So I'm going to count my rise over run. I'm going to go up 1. So we're going up 1 over 1, 2, 3. Over 3. And now I can bring down my x is always going to be the same, and my y. And there we go. There's our equation, and that's it for today.